The summer of 1984. Ghostbusters, Beverly Hills Cop, The Terminator, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. But where was I during all of this? Wait a second, so how did I go from that to being an Indy fan? Well, growing up in Florida, there really isn't a whole lot to do. Except, of course. Now, I grew up with Mickey, Dopey, Dreamfinder, and Figment. But in the spring of 1989, Disney World was about to open their third theme park, and little did I know, I was going to have someone new to look up to. Indiana Jones, world traveler, archaeologist, daring explorer, and my new best friend.
Hi, my name is Brandon Kleyla. I'm the director of Indyfans and the Quest for Fortune and Glory, and I myself have been a fan for quite a while now.
I'm about to play Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
I wanted to make this documentary even before Crystal Skull was ever even announced, but once they greenlit their film, it set ours into motion, and before you knew it, I was on a plane to New Haven to take a look at the filming and see what the locals thought of our favorite archaeologist.
It is my pleasure to welcome you to New Haven for your safety and the safety of others around you. Would you please remain?
Well, we're in New Haven. We just made it, and it's a tiny little place. This is our plane over here. That's what we flew in on. See, New Haven. I threw my tripod over my shoulder and headed to Yale University, or should I say Marshall College. As soon as I set up my camera, the Indy fans were ready.
Well, the other day I went with a few friends to go see the taping of Indiana Jones, and it was great. It was really fun. I camped out. I wanted to meet Spielberg. He's my idol.
I like The Last Crusade because it's not as creepy as the Temple of Doom. You know, the heart ripping out of the chest thing? Yeah, didn't like that.
Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford, Steven Spielberg, even George Lucas, I think he was on the first one or something. So you know what? Indiana Jones, Paramount, you doing your thing. I cannot wait to see this new movie. I cannot wait to see Harrison Ford knock off the hat. You know, he might be, you know what I'm saying, he's not old. Still got the Han Solo thing going on. I got my Indiana Jones figure at home. 1982. I'm a fan. I'm a true fan. Die-hard Indiana Jones fan.
There's no surprise to those of us in New Haven that Mr. Spielberg chose this campus as a place to shoot part of the fourth Indiana Jones movie, because we know that the real model for Indiana Jones is Yale's own Hiram Bingham. We know there are many contenders for those who think would be the model for Indiana Jones, but how could it not be Hiram Bingham? Here he was, dashing person, the exact same attire, married to the heiress of the Tiffany jewelry fortune, comes here to school, then goes on, becomes an archaeologist, and decides that he is going to track down the lost city of the Incas.
Well, I graduated last year from Yale University in archaeology, and I remember growing up there's three things that I really wanted to be when I grew up. You know, there's three possible career paths, and one was paleontologist because I saw Jurassic Park. One was a marine biologist, and one was, of course, an archaeologist because I saw Indiana Jones.
Well, it seems the Indy fans were pretty excited. But then I heard someone calling after their dog. The dog's name, Indiana. Now this is Mitch Halleck, husband, father, Indy fan. Mitch was there during filming and thanks to the internet was able to share his stories with the world.
The weird thing about this whole experience in 2 weeks is suddenly I've met new friends that I never knew I had. We'll call them friends or whatever. I'll go home and I'm getting emails and, Mitch, where are you? I'm like, who are you? And they're like, oh, I'm Bob Smith from Czechoslovakia. Okay, Bob, how are you? And over there was this rally poster saying something about peaceful rocket race or something like that. It's got to be in the movie. We don't know what that was about. And there was big bins of communist protest posters over there, which we just walked by thinking it was trash, but I realize now it was probably like an eBay gold mine. So hopefully they're back in the hands of the movie company as props or somebody's making a fortune. Here, look at the signs. What do they say, Spencer?
Hang and ship the bodies to Russia.
How much fun was it having Indiana Jones in New Haven?
About that much.
About that much?
Oh,
All right.
our hands together.
Do you want to go see the movie next year and see how it looks when it's all done?
Yes.
Yeah? Anything else you want to say? Do you know what a commie is?
No.
Do you know what communism is?
No.
All right.
Wait,
Excuse me, Mike. Were you in the Indiana Jones movie?
I'm not at liberty to disclose that, but I was an extra in old costumes.
Really? Say like 1957 costume?
Yeah, I was partying like it was 1949.
Now, Mike, are you the reason why this movie's going to make $200 billion next year?
I hope so. I had fun. My feet were killing me, though. So, like, see these shoes?
Yeah.
This is what I normally wear. Nice rubber bottoms.
Right.
Cushiony. In the 50s, it was hard wood. They felt like cement.
Maybe Dr. Scholl wasn't born yet.
I should have been gelling, but yeah, everybody's complaint was the shoes.
Was your underwear from the 50s too, Mike?
Shoes. No, I use my own. Well, they're Fruit of the Loom, same brand, but I use them more modern. You know,
oh, really?
I need vented.
What about? What about?
We're standing in old campus at Yale, which was transformed into a mysterious other college for the Indiana Jones 4. Is it a sequel, I guess? The fourth installment. I actually became an extra almost accidentally. I had some friends email me the link and say, hey, you should go try out for this. And when I showed up, they instantly said, oh, you could be a professor, come back for a fitting tomorrow. Next thing I knew, they were trying clothes on me and they wanted me to be a professor who was going to jump out of the way of the chase scene. So we were here in old campus, a motorcycle kind of whipped through the crowd, chased by an old car. The funny thing is I thought we were going to be actually directed by the director, but there were so many extras and so many crew members on set, he kind of directed through other people. Like he delegated, he would tell his headset people who would then tell bullhorn people what needed to be done, and then the bullhorn people would just yell, okay, we're going to run it again, don't get run over, getting closer to the car. And then every now and then Spielberg would come in with, he would just do this with his hands, and he would like look at statue, and he would do, he would do director stuff, and I thought it was kind of cool to see that in action, because I don't do that in my everyday life usually.
When your birthday came around, July 10th was my birthday, and my dad would always have this tradition where you got to pick whatever movie you wanted to see, and we'd all go see it as a family. Flash forward 1989, I'm out of college now, and my dreams of going off to Hollywood to work for Lucasfilm, for the Star Wars movies, was pretty much coming to an end, because by that point there were no prequels, and Star Wars was kind of dead at the moment. It wasn't as exciting as it once was. And Indiana Jones was going off to his last crusade, so I figured that was pretty much it for the Indiana Jones movies. His hat was going to the Smithsonian along with the leather jacket, and they rode off into the sunset. But that summer, I remember most of all because my dad and I didn't really talk much in the last couple of years that he was alive. He had had a stroke at 52, and it left him somewhat paralyzed on his left side, and he didn't get out much. He was home on disability, and this was a fellow who was a Marine. He was a construction worker, and my dad was the strongest guy I ever met in my life, but in the last few years, he wasn't the same. He was a lot quieter, and he didn't argue as much anymore, but he stayed home a lot, and he watched a lot of movies. But that summer, in July 1989, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade was out, and my dad and I hadn't done the birthday movie in a while, and I remember going to him and asking him, if you would go with me to go see The Last Crusade. And he was very hesitant. He didn't like to go out much anymore. He just really liked to stay home. I guess he was a little self-conscious of the stroke and what it had done to his body and stuff. He just didn't want to go out. But I asked him nicely, and I kind of begged him to do this for me. And I mentioned to him that Sean Connery was in it. My dad, when he heard Sean Connery, he heard James Bond, and he was hooked. So we went over to the theater, and we sat there for 2 hours and so, and we watched the movie. And when it was all over, the lights came up, and my dad was quiet, and we walked out to the car. And I said to him, I said, well, Dad, did you like the movie? Was it good? Was it fun? And I remember him just looking over at me, and he just nodded his head, and he said, it was entertaining. It was very, very entertaining. Now, I know Indiana Jones didn't win any Oscars that year, or didn't win any Best Pictures or Best Actors or anything like that, but I have to tell you, to hear my father give it his verbal thumbs up and say it was entertaining, not only that, but very entertaining, to me, that's just that they gave Lucas, Spielberg, Harrison Ford, Frank Marshall, that was like they gave them 20 Oscars, because you impressed my dad, and that meant a lot. December 1996, my dad passed away shortly before Christmas, so whenever I see Indiana Jones on TV, I always remember that was the last movie we would go see together, The Last Crusade. And I remember before he died calling up one night saying, oh, put on channel whatever. I'm like, why is that, Dad? He's like, oh, they're showing Indiana Jones movies, The Last Crusade. That's the one we went to see, remember? I said, oh, yeah, okay, Dad, I'll put it on. Even though I saw it like 400 times before, I put it on and said, yeah, Dad, I'm watching it. He's like, remember we went to see that? I'm like, yeah, Dad, I do.
All right, ready? That's as close as we're going to come to Hollywood today in New Haven, Connecticut, but it's been fun having dream of a lifetime having our favorite movie series come right here to our hometown. So how many fans could say something like that? So thanks to everybody that came out here, George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, Harrison Ford, and the whole crew. Everybody in New Haven, thanks you for putting us on the map, even though we think we already were there, but we can't wait to see you next May in the movies. Thanks a lot.
Surely for a generation, this is the biggie. And, you know, I am still pinching myself, almost like a kid in a way, like when we were recording this music, re-recording the Raiders theme, hearing Marion's theme, the new themes he's composed for Arena and things like that. I just could barely even play. I was like so excited, as a child would be.
Next on our list was the San Diego Comic-Con. Now, what started out in a hotel ballroom with about 200 people now fills the San Diego Convention Center with a few hundred, well, thousand. Now, I'm pretty sure I can find a big Indy fan here.
I'm standing here with
Darren Doctorman.
This is Darren, and Darren is a diehard Harrison Ford fan, and right now he's going to do his favorite lines from the trilogy. All right, Darren, here we go.
I didn't kill my wife.
What else you got?
Well, there's the one that, this boy is a witness.
My name is Darren Doctorman, and I'm a concept designer in the movie business. And I've been an Indy fan since, the early 60s, I think. Okay, not really. Since the beginning. And my first time seeing the movie, I had actually seen something about it, I think in Newsweek magazine, just explaining generally that it was this other adventure thing from the people that brought us Star Wars and Jaws.
You got another one? Okay.
I gotta get past that firewall and protect my family.
What's my favorite part? There's just, you can't have a favorite part.
All right, we're gonna give this one more shot here. I'm sure we can. Okay, are you ready? You're good? All right, here we go.
Molaram, prepare to meet Kali in hell.
Hey, we got one. All right.
Well, that was pretty good, but I think we can do better. Now, what can I have at Comic-Con that can attract a lot of attention? Oh, wait a second. Yeah, I know. How about the Indie Girls?
Would you say you have a favorite line from any of the films? Yeah, there's several lines, but you know what my favorite line from the entire trilogy is? It's got to be the exchange between Molaram and Indy when they're on the bridge fighting over the stones, and the stones are mine, and he says, you know, you betrayed Shiva, Dum Shiva ke Vishwas Kateo. That's my favorite line. That's just my favorite line right there. I always get that my heart just starts pump, 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 and I get the goosebumps and the blood tingling, and I'm just like, wow, what a scene. What a way to end it.
After seeing it, it changed me. And my whole room and my whole house, in fact, has been kind of redecorated to have that Indiana Jones feel.
That's
it's
awesome.
very exciting.
Are you excited for Indy 4?
Of course I am.
Excited for Marion?
Yes, I was clapping out loud like a man.
I cried when I heard it.
I'm sorry?
I cried when I heard she was coming back.
You cried? Yeah.
Did you get a little? Did you get a little sad?
I was excited. I was more happy than sad.
Happy tears.
Yeah, happy tears.
Saw the movie in the theater. I was 10, and for the entire first opening sequence, my aunt says that I was under my chair going, "This is the greatest movie I've ever seen." So.
All right, guys, here I'm with a father-son team who claim to be big Indiana Jones fans. What's your name, sweetheart?
Christopher.
Very nice to meet you, Christopher. And your name?
Juan.
So I bet you two are going to be there opening night, right?
Most definitely. He kind of feels a little cheated because, you know, he wasn't able to go see him in the movie theater, you know, can't get that movie theater exposure. So he's actually looking forward to be able to see a brand new Indiana Jones film, not on DVD, but actually on the silver screen.
A big boulder. That was a great part, showing he didn't try to give up, call for help. He just did it all by himself, no gear, nothing, just run.
So has he inspired you to keep going after your dream and not give up?
Yeah, lots of times I have to look for something to inspire. Either my dad's at work, something. I'm a little bored, feel sad. I just watch a little Indiana Jones, something. It's just a really great movie for everybody.
What is your favorite Indiana Jones movie?
You know, I feel sorry for Temple of Doom. So I think the dialogue in Temple of Doom is the best dialogue of all. I mean, when they're in the airplane and she goes, "Mister, you do fly, you do?" And he goes, "No, do you?" And it's perfect. I mean, there's so many lines in that film. And I think it's highly rewatchable. And not that I don't like the other two, but I do. I love them all. But that one is sort of unfair.
Now, wait, hold on just a second here. Now, this is Tony Baxter. Though you might not know his name, you certainly know his work. How about Big Thunder Mountain Railroad? Or the Finding Nemo submarine voyage? Journey into Imagination? Or how about the Indiana Jones Adventure Temple of the Forbidden Eye? Yeah, those were all his.
Now, what makes it so cool is that Mr. Baxter just showed up at our panel. Because he's an Indy fan.
Well, when I heard they were doing this, I couldn't not come by.
Well, thank you. We do appreciate that, and I know we all appreciate the ride at Disneyland. And I worked there for about almost a year, and it's quite an intense ride you've created, I can say that much. What's your favorite part of the ride? When you were designing, you went, "That's impossible," and then you figured it out. What was that like?
Oh, it was just at the dawn of interactivity, and it's not really interactive, but it's unpredictable. It gives you a choice of which, wish we're going to grant each time you ride it. And I had to fight like crazy because the studio thought, oh, no one, picks those things out. But when it hit the very early internet in those days, it was like, I've been on it, and I've gone on doors number 1 and doors number 2, but I've never been in door number 3. Has anyone out there been in 3? And this guy says 3 and 2, and I've never been in 1. And it got to be quite a thing.
Splice Mountain?
Yeah.
You have to ride that. I don't want to ride that. I think I'll ride the Splice Mountain. That's empty.
It started out, I think the original concept for Indy Ride was just the obvious thing was Temple of Doom. Everyone saw the minecart sequence in that. And I think that's what kind of got Disney interested in talking to Lucas and Spielberg.
And he really wanted the minecart. He was talking to us about having guests being able to operate the brakes. And, it wasn't really a functional brake, obviously, but it was some interactive element.
Yeah.
We had developed spark effects and all kinds of beautiful things on it.
So we incorporated the minecart and the Jeep ride together into a concept, and in addition to a labyrinth.
Right.
And we had a huge.
It was a whole land.
It was a whole land.
It was a whole land.
Real early in the concept, there was a point where when the minecart was still in the ride and the Jeep was the part of the ride as well, you were going to go through this labyrinth where at some point you were going to have to make a choice of one or the other. But one of the things we were going to do with it was we were going to set up this labyrinth thing where it was constantly going to be changing, so that if you went through it one time and came back the next time expecting to get through the labyrinth the same way, it was going to be different. Walls would move, walls would change, and we were laughing for weeks because at one point you were going to go out an exit and you were going to be back at the beginning of the ride, or at the beginning of the queue.
Yeah.
So I mean, you could have walked through an hour and just been dumped back at the beginning, and there was nothing you could do about it. You would have to start all over again.
And we had said that you had chosen wisely by doing that.
That wasn't the escape route.
Honestly, one of my favorite ones, I mean, again, the mine car, but it was a fabulous effect. Just a foam core mine car. The first one was foam core because we destroyed it, just the first time we fired it. It had such velocity to it.
Yeah, Greg, I remember Greg Cook doing that.
Yeah, then we rebuilt it because the simulation was that the vehicle hits this mine car coming at you. After you've been in the attraction, we were assuming we were building the mine car at the time, you were in the attraction, you were seeing all these mine cars over your head, you're driving through the volcanic chasm, and there's just an incredible amount of kinetics and energy in there, and then all of a sudden you go into a dark tunnel and here comes a mine car at you and it hits you, and it was actually a show action equipment. And it really was one of the best effects on the Jeep ride because the Jeep stalled out as it was programmed that from the collision that it stopped, and it was like trying to get it started again, and finally it took off.
Can you do that again?
And I swear that I think we all know it after riding the ride, that after you've gone through the cavern and you come into the corner where it's dark and the Jeep stops, it's the same exact profile in the program where you hit the mine car. And then you start up the Jeep, drive on farther, and there's the rats running across the branch. And it was a great way, one of the big ideas of Indiana Jones is we wanted to build the reality of what do you call them? Brake stops or zonal intrusion? Block zones, thank you. Yeah. Where if there's a car ahead of you, you're not just sitting there waiting to move into the next scene. There's actually a show moment, and the mine car collision was one of those.
Yeah, so that's all about a safety issue, that you have to have enough braking distance between yourself and the car ahead of you, and if for some reason you don't have enough, then the trailing car has to basically vamp until there's enough clearance.
We're still talking about a ride that we worked on. I started 17 years ago, and it's still in the park. Yeah. I mean, it's not like 1,000 people reading a comic book. It's millions and millions of people have ridden this ride that we all killed ourselves on. And I mean, we killed ourselves on this sometimes. There was a lot of 24-hour all-nighters before big presentations, for George or for Michael or.
Well, it seems ridiculous that it was even a question that there would be any doubt that there'd be an Indiana Jones ride, but really there were large moments where there was doubt about whether there'd be an Indiana Jones ride, and the fact that there's not one in Florida, I think, is proof of that. It's all about the stunt show there.
I used to love seeing all the Indyfans, honest to God. I mean, they would be there weeks before. Well, actually, the opening queue of the ride opened 6 months before the ride did, and you were allowed to walk around through the world, the environment there with the truck and all. And that was a nice thing to do because
that's right. Yeah,
they were out back in the box finishing the ride, but it really built up the anticipation. And
well, that's the other thing. The scene that did Tim Kirk do Great Movie Ride?
Yeah.
The Raider scene. I mean, it was like that. A lot that to live up to that with the skeletons and the snakes. And all that. That was great.
And it's a good sculpt of Harrison Ford too. His face.
He looked great.
Well, I was one of the concept designers overall on the park, Hollywood Boulevard, Muppet Studios. One of my focuses was our big E attraction that anchored the park called the Great Movie Ride, which was a traditional Disney ride-through audio animatronic attraction. I worked on the ride overall, and I was also directly involved with art direction and production design on the Indiana Jones scene, the mummy and tomb scene that follows that, the alien scene from the 20th Century Fox movie. And I did plant a lot of flowers in the Oz scene in Munchkinland. We duplicated the Well of Souls scene as closely as we could to the movie, but as most dedicated Indiana Jones fans probably know by now, if you're riding through that scene and you look to the left, opposite the scene with Indy and Sala lifting the Ark out of the crypt, there are hieroglyphs all over the walls, and we put a hidden Mickey hieroglyph up there. It's Mickey Mouse is a pharaoh, and Donald Duck is offering him some kind of an offering. So if you've gone through the ride for the 90th time and are tired of looking to the right, you look to the left in the dim light, and you'll see the Disney characters. We always put hidden Mickeys in everywhere in these theme parks. We were loaned some vehicles from the third movie, Last Crusade. So we had the tank, a couple of trucks, and a touring car. So I designed a prop setup next to the, actually between the exit to the stunt show and the merchandise shop. It's just something to look at.
That's a real tank. You know how I can tell? Remember in the Last Crusade where Andy put that rock in the tank so they wouldn't shoot him? Look. Look.
My favorite memory of working on the Indy attractions is probably pretty much what my favorite memory is of any of the theme parks that I've worked on. It's seeing a little sketch that I do, and it might be a napkin sketch in a restaurant, or just very rough drawings, to see the evolution of that into an environment, into an immersive environment that you can walk through. And what's even more wonderful to me is to be at one of these theme parks on opening day and to see people's reaction, delighted reaction to something that I've had a part in creating. To be given the opportunity to work at a place like Walt Disney Imagineering, where someone like me can see what basically they've done on flat pieces of paper turn into real built places, it's hard to describe the feeling. It's just very hard. It's been a wonderful, wonderful ride, if you'll pardon the expression.
I've been coming to Disneyland since 2004, and I've been on Indy a lot more than other guests would have imagined. But
how many times do you think you've been on?
Actually, I'm around 1,076 rides on Indy. My goal is to beat another record that's currently on Indy. It's really far bigger than mine, but I think I can do it. The record, I think, guys have been telling me that the record is about 9,000 and over. If you haven't heard the stories about an old lady named Gwen, you might want to ask any Indiana Jones cast members. They've probably seen her more than once.
My name is Gwen Ryman. I love Indy. I go to the park 2 times a week, usually Tuesday and Thursday, and meet friends, which I call the cast members. Love the ride, love the flowers, love everything. The reason I started was a bet by a cast member who knew me before Indy opened. When I went there, he knew how often I came to the park, and he bet me I could ride the ride 100 times by Christmas. And that was at the beginning of March. And I did that, and then the bet grew, and then the bet grew. And I didn't know there was no end to this ride. But on March 3rd, that day, I rode my 10,000th time. Well, I'll just show you here's the year, last year. There's 2007 finished, March 3rd, and no one has ever seen it before. And on that day, I rode number 10,000. And since March 3rd, I am now up to 195. So I've done 195 in 3 months. When I'm not at Indy, I do have another life. I don't work, but I do a lot of volunteer work. And I work with Guide Dogs for the Blind in San Rafael, California. I am the project leader for the North San Gabriel Valley for the puppy raising department. But this is my other life, and volunteering is very important to me. So yes, I'm crazy on Tuesday and Thursday, but I really do some things for the world, and I'm proud of that.
My name's Adam McDaniel. I am a lifelong Indiana Jones fan. Remember seeing Raiders when it opened in June of 1981, Simsbury, Connecticut. The influence, it goes back to, when I was just a little kid, doing sketches and drawings and paintings, and much to my mother's chagrin, sometimes she'd say, "You have so much artistic talent, can't you just paint a damn landscape?" And I'm like, landscapes don't interest me. Yeah, it's funny. People ask me, why do you paint movies? Whether it's posters or things inspired, obviously Raiders of the Lost Ark. This one that is from the animated film The Secret of NIMH. And I tell people, you paint what you love. You paint what you're passionate about.
You love the character and you love the wish fulfillment. We can all remember playing in the woods, or many of us can, and wishing that we could have an adventure. And I suppose as an adult, we get to live through Indiana Jones, all those adventures we wished we could have experienced ourselves.
Hi, my name is Robin, and I'm from Norman, Oklahoma, and I'm a huge Indiana Jones fan. I think the first movie I saw in the theater was actually Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and I remember getting in trouble after I went home trying to reenact the scenes by closing the garage door and trying to roll under it before it closed. So I was obviously a huge fan.
In the first scene in Raiders, when you see Indiana Jones for the first time, he steps out of the shade into the sunlight by the waterfall there, and as you watch that, you get the impression that you're seeing the embodiment on screen of an already existing literary legend, someone that predates this film that perhaps is just being brought to the screen for the first time. I mean, he was already a legend in the first scene, and you knew this guy was a force to be reckoned with, and you knew you'd see him again and again and again. And, it's rare that a character sells himself that quick.
It's the director's vision. The director makes the movie. If a movie is a wagon wheel, the director is in the center, and all of us are the spokes in this wheel. MGM had a catch line about Clark Gable years ago, the MGM publicity machine. They said that women want to be with him and men want to be him. And I think that's what's happened with Indiana Jones. He's a vulnerable character with this machismo. He's virile in a way that the Sean Connery James Bond was virile, but he's kinder and gentler. And I'd like to talk about at this point, and it's not really on the subject, but it reminds me of this. Indiana Jones in Raiders of the Lost Ark has a very definite color palette. I don't know if you're aware of that. He's dressed almost entirely in brown, and that's not accidental. And when I talk about that, it's quite serious, and I think that unconsciously it adds tremendously to his popularity. The reason he's in brown is not just because he's an archaeologist and works with his hands in terra firma, the earth. So he's camouflaged to be part of the earth and in earth colors. That's true. But there's something about brown that's warm. And there's a lot of red in brown and a lot of heart in brown. And it makes you not only vulnerable, which women like, and accessible, which women like. And that personality of Harrison's, which is so naturally reticent and intellectual, is also attractive. I mean, he has a lot of charisma, but it's not so much bravura as confidence. And I think that all leads to what I was saying about Clark Gable, this warmth, this brown, this accessibility, this vulnerability. I think men want to be him, women want to be with him. When you have a distinctive silhouette, like Charlie Chaplin's The Tramp, and I've discussed this before, or like Jake and Elwood. I often call Jake and Elwood Laurel and Hardy, because you have Oliver Hardy, and you have Stan Laurel, and you have just the opposite in Jake and Elwood. You have Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi, and you can see their silhouettes, and you know immediately who they are. Well, that's certainly true of Indiana Jones now. You can see him, even his shadow, you know who he is. And it's the hat that does it. Now, if Tom Selleck had been in that role, it would have been a completely other thing. Who's to say if the movie would have been a hit or a flop? Who's to say that Tom Selleck couldn't have been equally as attractive to the public or be embraced by the public as Harrison Ford? Who's to say? We don't know. We only know that Harrison brought his personality, his distinctive personality, to that role. So instead of having a macho man, you have an intellectual who also does this. You know, it gave it incredible depth that Harrison happened to be cast in the final hour as Indiana Jones.
These were drawn by a fan, and I didn't tell him that I was going to share these with you, but he had done these when he was, I think, about 4 years ago.
I'm crazy about them. I am crazy about these. These are wonderful. They're so wonderful, being the mother of a son. I get it. I get it. It's wonderful. And we had a great moment. I mean, that first day of shooting in La Rochelle, I thought I had that great feeling where Stephen and I were these two Jews on this, and Harrison's half Jewish, you know, and we're on the set. We're in this real Nazi U-boat bunker, the real deal. It was perfect, absolutely perfect. So it's this piece of concrete jutting out into the Atlantic. La Rochelle is the westernmost port of France, right? And nothing had changed because it wasn't blown up, and it was filled with these prop subs with these huge Nazi flags. And I had costumed, however, hundreds of Nazi U-boat officers. And I'm thinking, I have a shiver running down my spine thinking, did we win? You know, I was really worried for a minute. Yeah, it was one of those moments where I thought, this is movie making at its best. We made it come alive again in a really scary way. And there was Harrison, and that was the first day of shooting. What's exciting to me in many ways is that there are icons going to be made in the future that we don't know about yet. And the people who are making those movies won't know it either until the public embraces it.
Who's ready for a full day of fun and adventure? Well, why don't you come on in? Welcome to Legoland, California.
Legoland California is excited to welcome Indyfans to our park today as we unveil our newest Lego model of Indiana Jones and give our park guests an opportunity to mingle with Indyfans in our newest area, Land of Adventure.
I had the motorcycle chase.
Are you guys excited? I mean, what does this mean to you guys?
This is such a great opportunity. Our families are here with their kids, and it's just, everyone's just having a blast.
What's your favorite Indiana Jones movie?
The first, Raiders of the Lost Arks.
You guys like the Indiana Jones movies?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, tell me, what was your favorite Indiana Jones movie?
The one where the guy with the monkey has the dates and the poisoning. That guy was my hero.
Yeah, I know. I'm speechless too.
How do you do?
Good.
Your name is?
Ezekiel.
Ezekiel. I'm Renee.
Hi.
You may call me Dr. Belloc.
Hi, Dr. Belloc.
Thank you, very good. Have you seen Indiana Jones?
Not really.
All right. If you see Indiana Jones, don't let him know you've been talking to Dr. Belloc.
Okay.
All right. Under absolutely no circumstances are you to tell him that you are in cahoots, as it were, to use an American slang, with Dr. Belloc.
Okay.
As a result, I will give you one of these 3 priceless maps to hidden treasure. That will take you to the hidden lair of the Legitos, which is somewhere inside this temple. The hidden Legitos. Do you speak Legitos?
No, not really.
It'll be handy, but you may get along without it. Now, remember, what did I tell you? Don't tell Indiana Jones that you were speaking to
Dr. Libertos?
No.
Sorry.
No. They're the Legitos.
Oh.
I'm Dr. Belloc.
Oh, okay.
And your name is Legitos.
No.
No,
My
you're...
name is Ezekiel.
Right, I'm Dr. Ezekiel, you're Belloc, and they're the Legitos.
Yes.
Right, so just to recap, you're Belloc, they're the Legitos, and I'm Ezekiel.
No.
No.
I'm Ezekiel. You're Belloc, and they're Legitos.
Well, I think we've pretty much got that covered.
And which one's your favorite?
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Really? Why is that your favorite one?
Because the guards died by God's power.
You like that part? Really? Oh my gosh.
Remember, you and I are going to win this thing. I don't trust him. Hello, young man.
You want to tell me what Indy was looking for in some of those movies?
Sure. All right. In the first movie, Indy was looking for 2 things. He was looking for the Ark and for the golden idol.
Wow, you really know your stuff, don't you? You're like schooled in this, huh?
Maybe.
Maybe a little bit. And how old are you?
9.
Tell him you did not see Renee Belloc. Dr. Belloc, please. I insist. Unless you're a colleague. But if you see Indiana Jones, absolutely in no way let Indiana Jones know that you've been talking to Belloc. Do you understand? Good. So, just to recap. Don't let Indiana Jones, you know what he looks like, yes? You know who you're looking out for. Do not let Indiana Jones see that you are talking to Belloc. So have you seen Indiana Jones?
Yes.
Do you like Indiana Jones?
Yes.
But you like Renee Belloc more?
Yes.
Perfect.
Now you have me at a loss for words.
I have that effect on women.
So what's your favorite Indiana Jones experience?
Experience here today? It's had to have been when older Indy met the younger Indy. Little tiny kid that was dressed with his whip and his backpack, and they shook hands and they took pictures together in front of the Lego Indy. So.
Do you mind if I ask you a few questions? You don't have to answer. If you could just, for yes, blink twice, and for no, blink once.
Right.
Is that all right?
All right, so you said you're a bouncer in a bar. If someone came to your bar with a whip, what do you think? Do you think you could take them or what?
Without a doubt.
Oh.
No doubt at all.
Okay.
I carry a whip and I wear a fedora at the bar.
Oh, awesome, awesome.
No trouble when they see the whip, right?
Oh, no. A fight breaks out and you start snapping a whip. They're shocked, and that's usually all it takes. Or sometimes I used to clear the house at the end of the night just cracking a whip. I've had people charge at me and I've just snapped at them. I've had hi, nice your ID. Thank you very much. Enjoy. I've had people come over to me and oh, what did that guy do?
Come over and give you a big kiss.
Give me a big kiss. Oh.
We love him.
Thank you, Captain. One night I was out here, standing right over here, and a guy challenged a friend of mine to a fight. My buddy said, let's go over here and take care of business. They walk over about 50 feet over that way. And my buddy beat him up pretty good. The guy was bigger than me. And so I said, you all right, to my friend? I said, you all right? He says, yeah. And he starts walking this way. So the other guy starts coming this way. So I pull out a can of pepper spray and say, hey, you need to move it. But no, he takes his belt off and starts swinging, comes walking at me, swinging it. And I went, oh, you want to play that way? So I immediately unsnapped this, cracked it over my head, and he went, jump back. He jumped back in the street. I walked towards him. I cracked it again. He ran down the street like a little girl, and I cracked it and said, what's the matter, bro? I thought you wanted to play.
Well, I got time to kill and empty pockets to be filled. Just put it all on black, don't look back.
So I really like Indiana Jones. What about you guys?
Man, I own the collection. You know what? The
number
the last movie, the third one with Sean Connery, was my favorite.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Temple of Doom, right?
No.
Temple of Doom.
The Last Crusade.
I love that one.
Last Crusade.
Yeah.
Temple of Doom was weak.
Off the cliff, he comes back.
It's weak now, but at the time it was pretty amazing.
And
it was.
Sean Connery,
wait.
man.
Lost Ark and Last
Raiders of the
Crusade.
Lost Ark and Last Crusade.
Okay, there you go.
And
there
Temple
you
of
go.
Doom. Yeah.
Temple of Doom, man.
This guy's by the
Little story though, because the first movie. When I was a kid, my first movie that I remember actually going to was that movie.
Lost Ark, or
Oh yeah.
No.
Temple of Doom.
The second one.
Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
Is that, yeah. Obviously, I remember it very well.
Mine was E.T.
But that was, I went, and it was in
Mine was Back
California
to
on
the Future.
vacation.
Yeah.
And I went and I bought a T-shirt. They actually had T-shirts for sale at the theater, and I got a Temple of Doom T-shirt.
You still got it?
Dude, that's badass.
Yeah, I still wear it too.
Is it a medium? It shows a little belly or what?
The bullwhip was man's first supersonic tool and is a trademark to many movie icons, including Zorro, Catwoman, and, of course, Indiana Jones. Now, the key to being a true Indy fan is knowing how to use this baby. We were fortunate enough to meet up with Anthony DeLongis, bullwhip trainer to the stars, who recently trained a certain archaeologist on his way to his fourth adventure.
And a safer way of throwing the whip, so you'll get more out of doing a whole lot less. And I can teach you in 5 minutes to never ever hit yourself. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to listen, but and there we go. Do you trust me? Ah, you mad fool.
Yeah.
All right.
Whatever.
Good. Stand there. Okay. Now, here's our railroad track. He is standing inside the railroad track with me. Okay. I am out of range. Nothing bad can happen, okay? But if I were to start to move in, the fact that he is outside the railroad track with me and the whip rolls down, follows my hand, follows the handle down the railroad track, if my hand and handle of the railroad track and his shoulder is just touching the railroad track, that means I'm gonna miss it. So now, one of the cool things about this is, put your left arm up, would you? Your other left.
I can't really think straight right now.
Okay, now. Ready? See me. Face me with your hips and your rear foot. Ready? And go. Any difference? Yep. Cool. You guys get it?
Well, after 8 hours of whip cracking with Anthony, our day was finally coming to an end, and we had all improved our skills and learned something very, very important.
Got a shorter whip.
Yes. This time shorter is better. The one occasion. Yeah.
Bullwhips are dangerous, kids. Don't play with them. Don't even think of. Just look at them.
Not a toy.
They're for looking at.
For looking.
Don't whip people.
No.
Not good.
When you think of action, you think of stunts. Vic Armstrong and Wendy Leach have been responsible for some of the greatest moments in cinema history. Superman, James Bond, The Mummy 3. They're also responsible for 3 films that are very near and dear to our hearts.
I think the favourite stunt in the whole of the trilogies would have to be probably in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, the jump from the horse onto the tank. It was involving horses, and although horses have been my life and that was my basic skill, 99% of all my injuries have come from horses. So I knew how technically difficult that was. It was a horse I'd worked with before. I'd actually taken the same horse to Israel on Rambo. Sly Stallone rode him in Rambo. Harrison loved the horse. His name was Huracan, it was a Spanish horse. He in fact tried to buy the horse, Harrison, to bring back to the States, but because he was a stallion and he was an older stallion, 10 or 12 years old, there was a huge importation problem, so he couldn't bring it back, unfortunately. But I knew the horse very well, but I had to teach it to run in a straight line next to a cliff edge. And as soon as I dropped the reins and stood on his back to make the jump, I had to trust that he would run in a straight line. We couldn't get too close to the cliff edge because if it crumbled and slipped away, it'd have the horse and me trapped between the tank and the cliff edge. And it was about 18 feet laterally I had to travel, so there were a lot of things involved. So it may not look probably the most spectacular of all stunts in all the trilogy, but to me, technically, it was one of the most difficult ones.
Not necessarily the most dangerous, but the one that made my heart beat a little bit was running away from the aeroplane, doubling for Karen Allen. And they set up the shot, and we'd done all the fighting beforehand, and then it was just down to Vic and I to run away from the plane as it exploded. Well, as they were setting up for it, you know, you'd be looking around and you're thinking, well, there's no crew to be seen, there's nobody around for miles, they're all hiding behind hills and behind sort of perspex barriers and you're thinking, this is going to be a big explosion. And then you're thinking, I wonder how big it's going to be. Oh no, I hope my legs work. God, I hope I can run. And all this goes through your mind, and your heart's beating and thinking, and they say action, you run as fast as you can possibly run, and then all this stuff comes past you. But it wasn't, you know, it wasn't sort of a big dangerous stunt, but that's all the sort of stuff that goes through my mind.
But I did tear my knee up badly on The Last Crusade as well. As usual, it was after the stunts were completed. It was where the truck is driving alongside the tank. Indy stuffed the barrel of the tank with the rock. Sean Connery fires the cannon and blows up the truck, which is running alongside. And the truck does a cannon turnover, big explosion. Well, I was on the top fighting with Simon Crane as Indy, and Simon was the German guy, and we're fighting and punching away. And the truck's alongside, there's a huge explosion, and the articulated dummies fly through the air, and there's petrol gel flying all over the place, and the truck rolled, stopped, and there was a lot of fire laying around. In fact, one of the cameras had got hit by fire gel and was on fire. But I had a guy obviously driving the truck, and I wanted to check that he was safe, so as soon as they shouted cut, I went to jump off the tank, but my foot slipped underneath the tank, but my knee was on top of the bumper bar at the back, so I fell forward, just with my weight on my one knee from 8 feet, and it just ruptured the whole knee, bent it completely the wrong way. So, you know, that was really, really bad. You could get the knee and shake it like that. So I was walking wounded for a long time. But luckily, most of the sequence was riding, and I could actually just let the leg hang there, and I could ride with it hanging there. I didn't have to need the knee too much. But that was very painful.
I've been very lucky. I've picked up terrible bruises and sprained ankles, but nothing. I haven't broken anything. I've been very, very lucky. Yeah. Well, I love doing the Indiana Jones stuff, but I love doing some of the Bond movies too, and the opportunities to travel and to see the world and do things that not many other people get a chance to do. It's pretty cool.
I must say, I went to, years ago we were shooting in Florida, and we got invited up to the Orlando studios, and they got the Indiana Jones show on there. and sat us in the front row. I was terrified they were going to pull me out of the crowd like they do with somebody, and they have to have this guest appearance, which would actually terrify me. But anyway, afterwards they invited us back, and the lad that was dubbing Indy said, "Oh my God," I was so nervous knowing you were out there, And to me, they were doing a far harder job than we were, because they had one go at it, in front of a live audience, and they're really hitting the ground hard and doing a great job. I thought they were brilliant. But it is quite funny seeing them dressed up, and you see the dolls for sale and all these little things. It's really quite funny.
We're here in Thousand Oaks, California. It's my good friend Rob Burnett. Rob directed me in a little film called Free Enterprise.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I will give you $10 to let us in. That's my whole allowance.
10 years ago.
10 years ago.
10 years ago, but I brought Rob along today. We're at Sideshow Toys, wonderful company, and I believe you have one or two of their items.
I was so excited when you invited me to come here. I'm one of their biggest private customers.
There you go. So we're going to go inside and see what they can tell us about the Indy line and anything else we might see in their hallways, just being toy collectors. It should be pretty exciting, right?
Absolutely.
Right, so there we go.
It's where they keep the Ark.
This one's just, it's scary.
Yeah. It's real amazing.
And the cool thing about this is it was absolutely 110% a team effort. Everything's a team effort, but this one really was.
I think in this case, these are the types of talents that we brought to bear on this particular product to get the best of everyone we had. So we put our star players on it, knowing that this product would get not only some intense scrutiny from the fans, but it also was our way of saying, well, we got a new property, we're obviously excited about it, let's take a look at what we're going to do with our capital ship line, and let's do something that just really, nails the iconicness of this character down, and this real stoic pose. In this case, we kind of gave Indy conceptually a little victory moment that he actually never quite gets to enjoy in the film, because he never really gets to hold that idol long enough to make that smile to say I got it, but we felt he deserved at least that much. So
there's a lot of items that go into it that, as Tom was saying, that they're working together, and that's probably one of the special talents that the Sideshow art team has, is that we're able to work with each other while putting this project in play, because maybe getting the gun done and making sure that it stays in scale, the shoes, hands, and head and hat, is all very important for the entire silhouette of the project. So it's you really have to know your other team players and make sure that you're on par with them, and the communication is constantly flowing. Something like this is, as Tom was saying, this is the pinnacle of the best work that the team has done.
You don't think about the fact that what pose, if you're going to do a premium format figure, how is that character going to be standing? Right. And you guys have to sit down and think of this. And that's not something, or like you just said, I didn't even, as many products and as many 6-scale figures as I own, I never thought about the fact that the scale between feet, hands, gun, and head would have to be done. Absolutely.
Being all done at the same time.
Right.
What we have in the end is, again, what we feel is probably our best representation of the character. And in this case, this is definitely one of my favorite premium format pieces, because it's come together, fantastically. All the photographs that we've taken of it, it registers like, I don't know. I'll stand behind this likeness as being one of the best I've ever seen. And I think,
on the other side of the spectrum from toy collecting is prop collecting. And even though Indiana Jones props are very rare and usually very expensive, they still can be found. You just have to know where to look.
The quest for the Grail is not archaeology. It's something else which I can't remember at the moment.
We're here in Las Vegas in search of the Holy Grail.
Indiana Jones, I love it!
What's your name?
Steve.
Steve, hi Steve, how are you?
I'm fabulous.
And your name? Ashley. Hi Ashley. Now I take it you guys are Indiana Jones fans, yeah?
Harrisonburg rocks.
Yeah, Harrison
Love
Ford.
Indiana Jones.
Okay, well, which of the 3 movies are your favorite?
The last one. The one where
Why?
they found that cup.
What cup?
I don't know, what was the cup that drank and you made you youthful forever?
Would you like to be youthful forever?
I am youthful forever.
All right.
I will be.
What about you? Would you like to be youthful forever? Heck yeah. Yeah? Okay, give me your favorite line from the movie.
Oh, see, this is the part where I'm going to look stupid.
You're not going to look stupid.
Hey, bring me that cup. I don't know.
What do you know about him?
What do I know about him? It's Harrison Ford. There's a new film coming out in a couple of weeks' time.
May.
Something called The Crystal Skull or something like that. And there's a couple of English actors in. What do you call the guy? Ray Winston's in it. And it's about 20 odd years since he made the last film. And it's number 4 in I can't say in the trilogy because that's not right. It's number 4 in the sequence.
Yes. Favorite character?
Well, it's got to be Indiana Jones, hasn't it? Absolutely.
Short round.
Short round.
The dad's pretty cool in The Last Crusade. I'm gonna have to say, I like his daddy when Sean Connery. That was my favorite.
My favorite character is like the little Asian boy. Indiana Jones! Indiana Jones!
Are you excited for the new movie?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah?
Very. Saw the previews.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Do you guys have a favorite movie out of the ones that have already been filmed?
I really like The Last Crusade.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Raiders of the Lost Ark. Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom?
I'd say Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom.
Definitely the Temple of Doom.
What do you know about Indiana Jones?
He's the man, dude. He saves everybody. He's got the whip. He cracks the whip at everybody. He's got the coveted cup.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Question for you.
Yes.
If someone sold you that whip, how much would you pay for it?
$1,000.
$1,000
Yeah.
bucks. How much would you pay for it?
How much would I pay for it? You mean like the real thing,
The
in an auction or something
Yep,
like that?
yep.
With my money or yours?
The whip in the movie. How much would you pay for it?
That's priceless.
Priceless?
That's priceless.
That's a good answer.
That is a good answer.
My name is Arlen Ettinger. I'm the president of Guernseys. For close to 30 years, we've been conducting auctions of objects relating to the popular culture, motion pictures, popular music, and related fields. The collection that we're surrounded by arguably is the finest collection not only that we've ever sold, but has ever come to auction. A collection that must have 100-star attractions in it. But I have to confess that when I showed the auction catalog, this massive book that we produced, to my 8-year-old son, and yes, I have an 8-year-old son, he said to me, "Dad, the coolest thing in that collection is the whip." He didn't care about Elvis or the Beatles, Marilyn or John F. Kennedy. He cared about the whip because he had recently switched allegiance from Star Wars to Indiana Jones. And I think that speaks of the generations of popularity that these movies attract. It's not just about people who enjoyed them when they were 20 years old, when they first came out, but that they have a life that continues on. So we think it's a great and exciting deal. Thrilled to have it. What more can I say? Makes my son happy, makes me happy.
$1,000. Any interest at $800 to open the bid? Bidding at $700. $700. Interest in this lot at $700. Any interest in the lot? Pass, please. $237. The Holy Grail from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and $5,000. $5,500 is bid, and now $6,000. $5,500 is the bid, and $6,000 next. $5,500, $6,000 is bid, $6,500. $6,500 now. $6,000 is the bid, $6,500 is on the telephone, and now $7,000. $15,000 and $16,000. $16 now, $16,000, $17,000. $17,000 is bid at $18,000. $34,000 you need to bid. $33,000 is the bid. It's the internet bidder at $33,000 and $34,000 next. Is there any advance now beyond $33,000? $34. Now $35. $35,000 now. He almost owned it. $35. $36. $36 you need to bid. $36,000 now. $35 is on the internet. $35 is the internet bidder still, and $36,000 next. Is there any advance now beyond $35,000? Fair warning at $35,000. $35,000 to bidder number 700. Lot number 240, the Harrison Ford Indiana Jones bullwhip, and $50,000 for it. Interest in the lot at $50,000, $50,000. Interest in this at $50,000. $31,000 is bid. It's the internet bidder at $31,000, and now 32, 32,000, 32, 33. Ahead of you, John, at 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. You need to be 38, 39, 39,000. Are you in at 39, John? 39, 40,000. To the telephone at 40, 40,000, 41,000. $57,500 is the bid, and $60,000 next. Is there any advance now beyond $57,500? It's the internet bidder at $57,500. Selling once, selling twice, sold to the internet for $57,500. Okay, lot number 241, returning to reality.
Holy cow, what do you expect, huh? Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford's the man. What do you expect, huh?
It sold here in Vegas for $58,000.
Is that right?
Yep.
Wow, that's crazy.
Do you guys by any chance know the theme song?
Da 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 do da da do da 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 da. Is that it? I thought that was Batman.
He's got the rock and roll version.
Vegas! Prepare fucking already!
Well, you came up with some lyrics for Indiana Jones.
This is true. This is true.
Do you remember any of them?
I do. Got my bullwhip, got my gun. Look, there's Nazis. Come on, let's have some fun. We have the lost ark in our truck, and we'll lose it and find it and lose it and find it. Something like that. That's good.
I say Indy, you say fans. Indy! Indy!
Yeah, for the last couple Halloweens, I have been Indy, and I have decorated my little office space as Indiana Jones with all the artifacts and things that have been handed down my whole entire life.
Do you have a favorite character?
I'd definitely be Short Round.
Short Round. I'm going to say Indiana Jones. He's my favorite.
Hi, I'm Brandon. This is the Newport Beach Film Festival at the Lido Theater. This is my film, Indyfans.
I actually get a great special honor to bring up my new friend and expert filmmaker who, honestly, I don't know if I've met a more determined person in this business, as we know how difficult it is. And I wanted to introduce Brandon Kleyla, the director of this afternoon's film, and the ultimate Indy fan.
Thanks for everybody for coming. Like Skylar said, what you're about to see is about an hour. We're still filming. We're filming all the way through July. But this was something that Eric talked me into cutting together, and it's all his fault. And afterwards, we're going to do a little Q&A. We've got some special guests that you're going to see in the film. They're here with us today. They're going to talk and answer questions. It'll be fun. Might have some more t-shirts to give out. And then after the film, we're all going to go to Woody's Diner right next door. And we have many posters that we printed just for today of our Lido Indyfans poster. And we'll all sign them, and it'll be fun, and everybody can tell Indy stories, and we'll crack whips, and it'll be a good time. All right, let's start the movie. Let's see what happens.
Thank you, guys.
Popular culture character, and one that I hope could live on somehow beyond the fourth movie. We'll see.
So I guess I really just want to, again, the film's about fans, so I guess I just want to pass the mic kind of down the line, and you guys talk about, the film, about being an Indy fan, and just kind of fill in that gap. So we'll start with Steve.
I guess probably like a lot of people here, I was instantly became an instant fan of Indiana Jones when I first saw it in the theater in 1981, and from that point on, started getting hats and whips and all that, and in those dark days before VHS tapes, I actually smuggled a tape recorder into the movie theater and audio taped the movie so I could listen to it at home. It was the closest thing we had to reliving that experience at home, so I will now pass the mic.
Well, I stood in line for the movie, and I never thought I would have the chance to actually have anything to do with it with Disney. It was just an amazing dream come true for me, and probably for you too, Tony.
Well, I remember the day that we snuck over to Pasadena, which was doing a sneak preview of this thing called Raiders of the Lost Ark, which didn't make any sense if you think about it. What is a Raider of a Lost Ark? And we had to sit through Excalibur, and there were popcorn boxes flying through the theater with everybody totally bored, waiting for this movie to come on. And after it was over, I was where it was Skip Lang, who also worked on the Indy ride at Disneyland, and we sat there, and this was again 1981. That was, for me, it was still, probably to this time, the best experience. And what was neat about what we just saw is to get a chance to go back to that and kind of, it was a chance to go back to that time, and also the excitement of thinking in only about 24 days we're going to get to it again. So I'll be there in line either down here at the Newport or at the ArcLight or somebody on that midnight run on Wednesday night, I guess. So anyway, thank you for letting us have this. Okay.
Memories of my dad at Disneyland was we saw the building.
Yeah.
He could never make it in.
Oh, really?
But he saw the building and he was so excited.
Did he love Indy, that film?
Yeah, loved it. Yeah. So thank you very much.
There was another pen. It was a good pen.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey everyone, my name is Ralph Perez, and we're here at Newport Beach getting ready for the opening of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
I'm Laura.
Marion.
And what made you decide to be first in line for Crystal Skull?
It's Indiana Jones. You kind of have to, you know?
So what are you filming? What are you guys filming for right now?
The documentary.
The documentary. What's filming tonight?
For the documentary. What you're going to see is about an hour sneak peek of the documentary.
Oh, so this isn't the full piece.
Right, no. This
Okay.
is only about an hour, and then, we're still filming up till the end of the month, and then we'll be cutting all that in and seeing what happens.
Awesome. Okay, and then at the Newport Beach Film Festival, what was the
the hour, the same thing we're going to, the same thing we're watching
Can you
tonight.
do that? Can you show part of a movie?
It's my movie.
As your movie? That's right, this is never, it's like Star Wars. Those Star Wars guys never finish their
Well,
movie.
I'll come out with, a 5-disc special edition in a week.
Well, DVDs.
Temple. The hidden Legitos. Do you speak Legitos? No. It'll be handy, but you may get along without it. Now, remember, what did I tell you?
I would venture to guess that if you took, 100 movie fans into a room and you conducted a survey and you said, when I say the word adventure, what's the first cinematic character that comes to mind? Without a doubt, all of them would say Indiana Jones.
Taken as a whole, I think Indiana Jones is a wonderful popular culture character, and one that I hope could live on somehow beyond the fourth movie. We'll see.
We love the character. I mean, I think the creation of this character is somebody that we, it's somebody that men can want to be, women want to be with. It's like this never-ending quest to have that kind of adventure in our lives.
I think it's the whole charisma of the guy. It's everybody would like to be that rough and ready and that go-getting and being able to achieve things and be imperfect like we all are, and yet still come through with the goods and the girl and live the adventure.
How unlikely was it that Indiana Jones would would exist 27 years later. We did all the same things. We worked the same way. It's a mystery.
I think that it's about the character, and I think that, we were, I don't know if nervous is the word, curious if it was going to be able to maintain the tone and feel.
All men would like to be Indiana Jones. It's that the hero, the iconic figure that he is, that he always has the best adventures, he always survives everything and does it with great humour and style. So, and I think people read into that, young lads sort of growing up, they all want to be Indiana Jones or a fireman or a policeman because it seems exciting. It's the same sort of thing.
Since 1981, children of all ages have inspired to be like one man. Through movies, TV shows, comics, novels, and even theme park attractions, we've tried to live a life of action, adventure, even romance. He isn't just a character, he's a phenomenon, one that has stood the test of time and continues to. So I guess it is true. If adventure has a name, well, you know the rest.
Shorty, where's my razor? Gotta do that again.